My dear friend, tonight I wish to speak about a type of wisdom that is often hidden from the crowd, the wisdom of those who walk alone. In a world that prizes companionship, conformity, and collective validation, the solitary traveler is often misunderstood, mistrusted, or overlooked. Yet those who choose the path of solitude carry a depth of understanding, insight, and resilience that is rare and profoundly enduring. Walking alone is not merely physical solitude. It is a deliberate journey of the mind and spirit, a conscious choice to observe, reflect, and engage with the world on one's own terms. The solitary traveler learns to navigate life without constant guidance, without external approval, and without the distractions that often cloud perception. In this space, clarity emerges, intuition deepens, and understanding is born, not from the noise of others, but from the quiet of attentive observation. Consider the psychology of those who walk alone. They are often introverted in nature, attuned to subtle patterns, and sensitive to nuance. They perceive what others overlook, the flicker of emotion in a passing face, the quiet rhythm of nature, the invisible currents of thought and intention that shape human behavior. Their solitude is not loneliness but awareness. It is a cultivation of insight, a refinement of perception, and a conscious engagement with the hidden layers of life. I wish to share a story, a parable that illustrates this wisdom. There once lived a man named Thorin, who chose to walk alone along the mountain paths. Villagers whispered that he was odd, perhaps even lost. Yet Thorin moved with purpose, observing the trees, the wind, and the subtle signs of the earth. He noticed patterns others ignored, understood dangers before they arose, and recognized opportunities hidden from the hurried eyes of the crowd. One day, a traveler asked him, "Why do you walk alone?" Thorin replied, "Because in solitude, I see clearly. In walking alone, I learn to understand both the world and myself." His wisdom was not loud or proclaimed, yet it guided many who eventually sought his counsel. There is a spiritual dimension to walking alone. In solitude, the mind and soul are unburdened by the incessant expectations of others. One can reflect deeply, explore the inner landscape, and discover the truths that lie beneath surface appearances. Walking alone teaches independence, not in defiance, but in alignment with one's inner truth. The solitary traveler learns to rely on perception, intuition, and reflection rather than habit, convention, or external approval. Another story reveals this beautifully. A young woman named Lyra lived in a crowded city where voices and opinions filled every street. She felt overwhelmed by the noise and sought the mountains to walk alone. Initially, the silence was challenging. She expected emptiness but instead found insight. Observing the sky, the rivers, and the rhythm of the trees, she realized that the world was alive with lessons she had never noticed. By walking alone, she learned to trust her intuition, to observe patterns, and to act with thoughtfulness. Her solitude became a source of wisdom and clarity that could not have been attained in the midst of the city's clamor. Walking alone is also a teacher of courage. Solitary travelers confront the unknown without the comfort of the familiar crowd. They meet uncertainty, fear, and doubt, not as abstract ideas, but as real challenges to be navigated. In facing these alone, they cultivate resilience, patience, and confidence. Unlike those who rely on group consensus, the solitary traveler must decide, act, and respond with their own judgment. This responsibility nurtures wisdom that is both practical and profound. There is a symbolic lesson in solitude as well. Consider the lone wolf in the forest, not weak, not lost, but aware, alert, and purposeful. Its solitude allows for observation, strategy, and survival. Likewise, those who walk alone are often more deeply attuned to the currents of life, more capable of discerning truth from illusion, and more likely to act with integrity. The apparent isolation is a space of insight, preparation, and quiet power. Another aspect of walking alone is the cultivation of creativity. Solitude allows the mind to wander freely, to connect ideas, and to perceive possibilities hidden by distraction. Many artists, philosophers, and thinkers have discovered insight and inspiration not in crowds, but in solitude. Walking alone fosters reflection, imagination, and the discovery of patterns that may otherwise remain unseen. The quiet mind, unpressured by social expectation, can explore the vast terrain of thought and emotion with clarity and depth. Let me share a final parable, one that captures the essence of this wisdom. In a remote valley, a monk named Kalen walked alone for many years. Villagers assumed he was lonely or lost. Yet Kalen moved with intention, observing nature, listening to the wind, and reflecting on the cycles of life. One day, a traveler approached and asked, "Do you not fear walking alone?" Kalen smiled, "I do not walk alone, I am accompanied by the lessons of life, the rhythm of the earth, and the voice of my own heart. Solitude is my teacher, my guide, and my companion." Those who later sought Kalen's counsel discovered that his wisdom, cultivated in quiet reflection and solitary observation, carried insight far beyond what could be learned in crowds, debates, or fleeting social approval. Walking alone also nurtures moral clarity. Free from the influence of groupthink, the solitary traveler can act in alignment with principles rather than conformity. Decisions are informed by reflection, discernment, and integrity. In this way, solitude fosters ethical awareness, courage, and the ability to live in accordance with one's truth. The wisdom of those who walk alone is subtle, but it is profound, shaping lives, communities, and the world in ways often invisible to those who value noise over reflection. Thus, my dear friend, the secret wisdom of those who walk alone lies not in spectacle or recognition, but in observation, reflection, and mindful engagement with life. It is a quiet, enduring strength, born of courage, insight, and independence. Those who walk alone teach us patience, clarity, resilience, and the profound power of living authentically, guided not by the crowd, but by the voice of their own heart. Embrace solitude. Walk your path deliberately. Listen to the world and your own soul. For those who walk alone may appear hidden, silent, or unnoticed, but within that quiet journey lies wisdom, freedom, and a strength that endures beyond time, noise, and the gaze of the world. As we continue, my dear friend, let us reflect on another subtle yet profound truth: those who walk alone are often the most attuned to the rhythms of life. In the absence of distraction and noise, they perceive what others overlook: the hidden currents in human behavior, the subtle patterns of nature, and the silent messages whispered by the world around them. Walking alone trains the mind to observe without judgment, to listen without interruption, and to respond with clarity rather than impulse. It is in solitude that true perception emerges, unclouded by expectation or conformity. Consider a story from a distant village, perched high in the mountains, where a man named Seren lived alone on a narrow ridge. Villagers often wondered why he shunned company, assuming sadness or weakness. Yet Seren's days were full, not with chatter, but with attentive observation. He noticed the migration of birds, the way shadows shifted across the cliffs, the subtle changes in the wind signaling storms. One day, a traveler asked, "Do you not feel lonely here?" Seren smiled, "I am never alone. The world itself teaches me every day, if I am willing to listen." His wisdom, cultivated in solitude, guided those who sought him, though they never fully understood the depth of his insight. There is also a psychological dimension to walking alone. The solitary traveler is forced to confront themselves in ways that are often uncomfortable yet profoundly instructive. Without the distraction of social approval, they must navigate their fears, insecurities, and unresolved desires. They learn patience, self-reliance, and resilience. Solitude is a mirror reflecting the true self, revealing both shadow and light. It is in these moments of reflection that the seeds of wisdom are planted, nurtured, and eventually bloom into understanding and insight that cannot be attained amidst constant noise. Another story illuminates this principle. A young woman named Alara sought refuge in a remote forest to escape the overwhelming expectations of her family and society. Alone with the trees, the wind, and her own thoughts, she felt an initial ache of isolation. But over time, the forest became her teacher. She noticed patterns in the movement of leaves, the rhythm of streams, and the silent communication among creatures. Through observing nature, she began to see patterns in human behavior, to understand emotions, and to reflect deeply upon her own life choices. Walking alone, she discovered clarity, resilience, and an inner compass that guided her beyond the distractions of the world. Her solitude was not emptiness, it was fertile ground for insight and wisdom. The spiritual dimension of walking alone is equally profound. In solitude, the soul encounters silence not as absence, but as presence. The mind is freed from the chatter of expectation and comparison. One can attune to intuition, explore the depths of thought and feeling, and recognize truths that are often hidden in social engagement. Walking alone allows for communion with the self, with nature, and with the subtle currents of life that guide our existence. Those who embrace this path discover that wisdom is not loud or forceful, it is quiet, deliberate, and deeply transformative. Consider the metaphor of a river, flowing silently through a valley. It moves without seeking attention, shaping the land slowly, steadily, and inexorably. Similarly, those who walk alone influence the world not through spectacle, but through the quiet, persistent work of observation, reflection, and deliberate action. Their power is subtle, yet enduring, their influence often unseen, yet profoundly felt. There is also a lesson in creativity. Solitude allows the mind to wander freely, to connect seemingly unrelated ideas, and to perceive possibilities invisible to the distracted eye. Many great artists, philosophers, and writers discovered insight not in the company of others, but in the quietude of solitary reflection. The one who walks alone is free to explore without judgment, to imagine without constraint, and to create without interruption. Their work, born of solitude, carries depth, clarity, and authenticity that resonates far beyond the individual. Let me share one more story, a parable of quiet strength. In an ancient valley, there lived a sage named Kale, who rarely spoke to anyone. Travelers would come seeking guidance, but Kale remained silent, walking alone among the mountains. One day, a young man asked, "Do you not wish for company, conversation, or recognition?" Kale replied, "I am accompanied by the world itself. Each step teaches me, each shadow instructs me, each stone holds a lesson." To walk alone is to learn from life directly, without distraction. Over the years, those who came to Kale discovered that his wisdom, cultivated in silence and solitude, far surpassed what could be taught in classrooms, gatherings, or debates. His insight was subtle, yet transformative, an enduring legacy of the quiet path. Walking alone also fosters moral and ethical clarity. Free from the influence of groupthink, the solitary traveler can discern what is right, just, and aligned with inner truth. Decisions are informed by reflection, observation, and deep understanding, rather than conformity or fear of judgment. This quiet ethical wisdom often guides not only the individual but those who cross their path, subtly shaping communities, choices, and outcomes in ways unseen by the world. Finally, my dear friend, the secret wisdom of those who walk alone is a reminder of the value of stillness, observation, and deliberate presence. In solitude, the mind is sharpened, the heart is deepened, and the soul is awakened. The one who walks alone is not lonely, they are attentive, aware, and profoundly alive. Their journey teaches patience, perception, creativity, resilience, and the enduring power of living authentically. Embrace the path of solitude, not out of isolation, but as an opportunity to engage fully with life. Listen, observe, reflect, and walk deliberately. For those who walk alone may appear hidden, silent, or unnoticed, but within that quiet journey lies wisdom, freedom, and strength that endure beyond noise, distraction, and the gaze of the world.